everyone. And just like that, welcome to Dad's Dishing.
2021, our first show of the year, and it is a show packed with great tips for any father listening, for anyone listening, truthfully.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And I'm drinking club soda because I'm doing the dry challenge, to the dry January, which is basically no booze this January.
And I am not doing the dry challenge, so I'm drinking a little vodka in with my club soda as we tape this on an early morning shoot. How sad is that?
But I think we did it for effect.
Yes. And it is such an important part of our lives, alcohol. I think it's the way we come together. I think that it's something we use as a tool, as a crutch. So to give it up for a month is really, truthfully, a challenge.
It is a challenge. I gave it up for almost a year, a couple of years ago. And I eventually got to the point where I just didn't want it anymore. But I miss the social hanging out and the dumbing down that it does, meaning it just takes the edge off of so much. So you're out, you're hanging out with your friends, and then just before you know it, you seem to enjoy your time more.
Yes.
But then I'd never remember what the hell happened the night before.
At the end of that year, when he was released from the insane asylum, he entered drinking in a way that is so good. No, it is. And you know what? We are creatures of habit. Drinking has become a thing that you come home after a stressful day. I can't wait to have a glass of wine. You go out with friends. There's peer pressure. So all of these things that challenge us to make the challenge of a dry January so difficult.
Right.
But today we're going to give you the tools to be successful during, be it a dry January, a sober October.
No drink November.
Yes.
There's dry
whatever
February.
month it is.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And we're interviewing as our guest today, the author Hilary Sheinbaum, who's been all over media, like unbelievable. She was interviewed just by Dr. Oz, and she's been on all the major periodicals like the Boston Globe. She's in GQ magazine. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And she's a New York Times writer also.
She's an amazingly talented person. She writes the book in a way that you will feel so comfortable. And what's great about this is it really does give you the tools to be successful in whatever dry month it is.
Right.
And what you learn also is all of the things that are really side effects of drinking. The cost, what it does to your skin, what it does to you personally, who it makes you in a relationship. And when you start to think about all of those things, it really is a wake-up call.
Exactly. And eventually you start seeing, well, why would I just, for one night or one day, whatever it is that you're drinking, why am I going ahead and I'm throwing just so much away of my life? You know?
Absolutely. When we talked about the numbers, you and I, and by no means are we billionaires. We're just trillionaires. No, but by no means are we millionaires. And when we talk about the costs that we put out annually in booze and what that also means for meals and things like that, it's a house.
It's pretty, exactly.
It's a house.
It is a house.
Over a couple years, it's a house.
And I end up looking like a house. Because of all the weight.
There is a physical.
I mean, we're talking about, like, let's be honest. I mean, for COVID, I personally felt like, and I talked about this before, like, we're kind of like on vacation. Gyms are closed for a while. Then, you just kind of like get into that habit. You find yourself drinking more, eating more. And, not the best news, but hey, I can rely on my trusty old bottle of wine or tequila or whatever it is that I'm drinking. And it freaking affects me. And now, this just happens to coincide with my own goals that I wanted to do.
Where you want to be, who you want to be.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, and this is a personal thing that I'm sharing with people. You lost your mom this year.
Yeah.
And I think I saw, even as your friend, a transition to a little more drinking after that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easy for that to happen. And if there was ever a year to pick to start drinking in excess, it was definitely 2020. And as we head into 2021, certainly another year that would be perfect for drinking. So
yeah, I know. I mean, so
there's no better time than this.
No, there's no better time to actually have Hilary to really help us with this, and can't wait to have her on. So
she joins us next, the Dry Challenge. Check it out. We'll be right back.
Cafe Cubal is not only the way to perk up your morning, but it's a quick pick-me-up every afternoon.
The Dad's Dishing team fights off our midday cravings with prepackaged Almond Joy Power Truffles from Cafe Cubal.
You might say that we're obsessed with them. A ball of fudgy, chocolatey, chewy, rich decadence with less than 2 grams of sugar. Plus, they're made with protein powder.
Mix that with a cup of their delicious locally roasted coffee, and it energizes us to tackle the rest of our day.
With 7 local locations and a coffee truck on the go, Cafe Cubal is more than coffee.
It's what sets the time from a hectic day to relax, reflect, and recharge.
When you think of the things that are essential to a healthy lifestyle, you probably just focus on the recommendations from health experts, like getting more exercise, healthy food choices, and getting more sleep.
But there's another way. It's a much easier way to live a healthier life. Smile. It may not seem like much, but smiling does a lot for your mental and physical health. And it's a great way to help everyone around you live healthier too.
Our friends at Northeastern Dental Group offer 4 safe, convenient locations in and around the central New York area. Best of all, they recognize that your money matters and offer an introductory special at just $99. Just $99 will cover your visit from start to finish, keeping you and your kids smiling for years to come.
Make oral health a top priority. The Northeast Dental Group and the entire team prioritize in providing you and your kids with a personalized and gentle experience.
So as we've been talking about on social and all the different platforms, we're all doing the dry challenge. And it's really exciting to have Hilary Sheinbaum, the author of the Dry Challenge.
Hilary, hello, welcome.
And before we continue, Hilary, we have to ask you, because obviously this has been somewhat, that we've been thinking about. Yeah. Is it Hilary or Ilaria?
Definitely the former.
Okay. Well, now we know not to listen. Oh my gosh. You are so fun. You have such a great way about you. Your energy's wonderful. The book, you see it right in the book as you read it. It's a great read. So thank you for giving us this.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you guys.
Well, we are so excited too. This is a true gift for us. And for so many out there, it is a struggle. This year especially, 2020 was crazy. 2021, it's like, what fresh hell is this? How are you doing with your January, dry January? How are you doing with that?
So far, so good. This is my 5th year. So wow. I'm a little bit seasoned at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely know that these stressful times can call for a drink or two for many.
Yeah.
And,
so have you heard in the news about cancel dry January? Like, have you heard of that?
I've been seeing the memes and everyone's sending them to me. And I just keep saying dry January is not canceled. But listen, even if you've had one beverage or a night of beverages, it's okay. You can start again, call it a 1-drink January, and move on. Finish your month.
Smart.
I love that. I have to say, I sat down to read the book Tuesday, and I was so excited to get into it. And I'm like, we're only a few days into the month. I clearly haven't drank that much. And when I actually looked back, I had Bloody Marys on Sunday. You don't even realize how much you do consume alcohol, and it's a struggle. How did you've given us tools in the book, but tell us, how were you able to navigate through your first dry January and make it through successfully?
Yeah. So going into my first dry January, I kind of didn't have a plan at all, if I'm being honest.
Well, yeah, you said that the night before, New Year's Eve, you said, okay, I'm going to do it.
And it was thanks to Alejandro.
Yes,
which
Alejandro,
Lady Gaga song. Alejandro. Right.
By the way, Alejandro is like the breakout star of this story.
Oh, really?
So,
he's like, thank
it
goodness.
It wouldn't have happened if he hadn't agreed to making a bet with me about dry January. I don't know that this would have ever happened.
Wow.
So,
how crazy. All right, so you get through your first. Yeah. How were you successful? You literally New Year's Eve said, okay, I'm going to do this for a month with Alejandro. How did you do that? What were the tools you used? And you've got them in the book, but please tell us.
Yeah. So I think that there are definitely some helpful tips. Yeah. One being that, especially now that we're all, at home all the time and working from home, is to really remove those triggers from your, general vicinities.
100%.
So if you have a bar cart that you're constantly passing and it's full of liquor, and every time you open the fridge for a sandwich, there's cans of beer, you really want to eliminate those triggers by either removing them from, those easy to see spots. Maybe it's like, putting it in like a broom closet for a month or giving it to a friend to hold on to. You could even pour it down the drain, but I know that that's a controversial statement for some people.
Why is it controversial, by the way? Because you said the same thing in the book. Like you were pretty like reserved about that. And why is that? Do people really raise an issue?
I think that liquor is expensive.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, it is a financial commitment. And even if they're giving it up for a month, they aren't exactly ready to, watch their liquids go down the drain.
It's kind of like burning cash. You don't throw that stuff out.
It does still have its value. I totally get that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now it makes sense. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I kind of think that's great. And we do it's become such a lifestyle thing to have the bar cart in the house. And I try to keep a full bar for guests and coming. It's very hard. It's there in my face all the time. So your idea of throwing it in a closet, giving it to a friend to hold on to, my friends would give it back with empty bottles. But that's really a great tip for success.
So I have to ask you, though, I mean, was it your initial intent to write this book, but at the same time release it during the pandemic? I mean, that's got to be like a really big decision, right? And your publisher, HarperCollins, probably had something to do with that too. And like, what was your thought about that?
Yeah. So listen, I'm a writer by nature and I always wanted to write a book, but I never in my wildest dreams thought it would be a book about giving up alcohol for a month. Especially, I used to be a food and beverage writer. My actual job was to drink wine, beer, and spirits and do the research and report back.
And talk about a challenge. Yeah, to give up drinking during that job.
So, I think having done it now, being on my 5th year, it was certainly an evolution. And once I, saw all these amazing benefits and, to be honest, couldn't shut up about it. Like I was telling everyone, I was talking about it. I was writing articles about it. I think it was only natural for me to write a guidebook on how to do it because going into it, my friends, my family, people that I was dating, they had so many questions. And it's, I think, more empowering to know how to answer those questions or at least be prepared and set yourself up for success. So that's how the book really came about is that, I didn't know what I was doing, but everything that's in that book is, what I learned firsthand or the research that I went ahead and did during and after my dry January.
And Scottie and I were talking about that. This is such a comprehensive book because you're talking about science. You're talking about relationships. You're talking about, economics and finances. I mean, it's a 360-degree way of looking at how alcohol can affect one's lifestyle. And if you're a single dad on a budget trying to make ends meet and you got kids to feed and at the same time you want to have some extra money laying around.
This is a great way to have it.
This is the best way to do it.
I earmarked the page with my little Post-it. The savings, the numbers, when you put it in this bold type, God, was that an awakening? Somewhere between $40,000 to $55,000 you will save over 10 years. And honestly, I think that's a conservative estimate. Truthfully, do you agree? Yeah.
Especially with us.
Yes.
So that number is essentially if you are drinking 2 to 3 nights a week and having between 2 to 3 drinks, if the cost of the drink is $10.
Yes.
And we very well know that if you're drinking top shelf liquor, if you're drinking more than that, then that number is only going to go up.
And it doesn't matter if you're in Wisconsin, Syracuse, Florida, Manhattan. The price of alcohol, it's across the board very pricey at this point. $10 or more.
Exactly.
Glass,
Everyone's making craft cocktails and craft beers, and they're charging a premium for these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's happening everywhere.
I was also going to add to that, that's just the amount that you're spending on the drinks themselves. It doesn't include transportation or food or hangover cures.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I brought up to producer Kelly. I said, oh my gosh, I'm like, the transportation and then the extra food that you order because your eyes are hungrier.
Well, that's just it.
That's what I do.
It's you have one more. It's like, okay, I'll have one more. Well, now let's get another appetizer. Let's get another dessert. And it perpetuates this bad thing that continues, and you keep spending and you keep drinking and you keep going through the night.
You're chasing that dopamine fix. Yes. You're chasing that next feel good, and it doesn't really manifests itself. You just get drunker and drunker
It's
generally.
true. So I have to ask you, one of the things we posted as we talked about you coming on the show, which we were so excited about, is a picture of you with Sarah Jessica Parker. How cool. Okay. You kind of really are the real life Sarah Jessica Parker, living in Manhattan, working, writing. I mean, is that like amazing?
And just
You're
like
Carrie
that.
Bradshaw.
My apartment was not as nice as hers. I will tell you that much. Or my shoe collection.
Oh God, that's something that's goals right there. But I have to ask you, do you think, because I look at it, as we were talking about this, like really Sex and the City set a tone for the first time, I think, where so much of when they were together, it was about those cosmopolitans. And if you watch Seinfeld or something else from a little before that in the 90s, they were out getting cups of coffee. It wasn't about booze. And in a way, Sex and the City sort of set a tone for get those Cosmos
And for
girls.
women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
for women.
$15 drinks for women. And it's perpetuated. And now it's coming theoretically back. A new version of the show will be coming back to HBO. Did you see that growing up and say, oh, I can't wait to be that person?
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm definitely a Sex and the City fan. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
And I think Sarah Jessica Parker is phenomenal. I don't know. I think that not just Sex and the City. I think that so many TV shows are centered around drinking culture. I mean, even, Cheers or any
True.
show that
The
really...
Man Show from back then. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I think that, TV and movies have always had drinking culture as a role.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just in our daily lives as well, too. I mean, anybody who goes to college, there's that. And beyond that, even in adulthood, whether you're socializing for a birthday, you're going on dates, especially if you're going to weddings. I mean, drinking's everywhere. So I don't know. I think that Sex and the City definitely showed a lot of drinking within Manhattan, but I think it's everywhere.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I think that's sort of to that point, it's sort of hard because when I go out with friends, it's okay, where are we going to go have a drink? What are the things you do instead? And you give us some examples in the book, but
So
what are
many
some
in
of
the
the
book.
things you do instead to say, hey friends, let's not go drink, let's go do something else?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things just in general is ice cream. I am obsessed. So my first go-to is hey, who wants to grab ice cream? Because that's my favorite.
I love it.
But, depending on what it is that you enjoy, whether that's, museums or going for a hike, if that's available to you, or cooking, or, just checking out a fancy restaurant if it's COVID safe. I really think it's about kind of winning back that time that you would otherwise spend at a bar and really exploring things that make you happy that don't involve alcohol.
So I don't know if you're familiar with this book. Elizabeth Vargas wrote a book about her problems with addiction to alcohol. It's a great read, and she talks about using alcohol as a crutch for anxiety. And I think so many of us out there use alcohol as a crutch, use cigarettes as a crutch, use weed as a crutch. I mean, all of that.
Everything's going down.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything, but you have to understand that this is a very difficult time for people here in the United States and worldwide.
Exactly.
And you're at home and there's a lot more day drinking dads.
Oh, totally. I think
people in general.
I think parents aren't necessarily going to work like they once did. They're working from home. What are the tools what would you say to somebody who uses alcohol as a crutch to get through life? What are the alternatives?
Yeah. It's interesting. I haven't read that book, but for me, at least, my anxiety increases, after drinking. So that's always a reminder in my head that initially, while it might sedate you, eventually it's going to, at least for me, kind of excel the process.
And the regret the next day.
Yes.
What did I say?
Exactly.
What did I do?
But you're right. Your anxiety does increase. The problem is you feel worse about whatever that problem was that made you drink to begin with. I totally agree.
And understanding that alcohol is a downer. At the end of the day, it helps perpetuate that anxiety. And that's huge. And I think people don't know it. In that moment, it's like, okay, I just got laid off from my job. I'm going to go drink.
Yeah. And if you're on a date, in the book, she says that certain parts don't work.
Yes, it's
if you
true.
consume too much in alcohol. And for a lot of dads, that obviously, look, you're on the date and you're drinking.
I'm going to go there and say whiskey dick is a real thing, okay? Let's call it what it is. We've all been there.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Instead of opting for, those alcoholic beverages, there are so many beverages now that taste just as good. There are non-alcoholic beers,
Right.
wines, spirits, and even cocktails that I personally find to be even tastier.
Yeah.
And obviously there's no hangover included or other, physical issues.
Well, even if you go to, even to Panera, they have all these different lemonades now.
Right.
Like, everybody's getting into that very mocktail type thing.
And if you think about it, I mean, and I'm not hating on alcohol because I do like it.
Oh, you
But
love it. I know. I know.
Well, I'm taking
Not
a big
this
break.
month.
Taking
Yes.
a big break. But if you think about it, it is in this book by Alan Carr. It's something called like How to Control Your Drinking or something like that. He talks specifically about how people have to accustom and add all sorts of flavors so that you can get the alcohol down, and eventually you sort of build the tolerance for it. No one first has, a beer or anything and says, "Oh, this is delicious. It's what I've been looking for my whole life."
Exactly.
But the reality is what? It's that, it's kind of cool. I think I feel
When
cool.
we're in college, we have to water it down with
Exactly.
soda, anything. Yes.
I straight up one time for my first, when I turned 21, I ordered a martini because I was in the Air Force and I figured that was the most
Look at
chic
me.
thing. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. All my friends are like, "What are you going to drink, Joe?" And I'm like, "I'm going to have a martini." They're like, "Oh shit, he's the man, And I go up and I ordered a martini. Never had a martini in my life.
Yeah.
I tasted, I sipped it. It was just awful. It was like biting into a pine tree. It was awful. I said, "I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back." I went to the bathroom, dumped the dumped the martini, kept the olive in there, put water in there, went back out and
This
faked it.
man, he is all class. Thank you for sharing.
Did you
that.
actually suck your down?
Yeah, I did. I've been a martini guy since I was a baby. Mother's milk and martinis. But
Which, by the way, I'm drinking club soda. Thank you.
I'm drinking club soda and vodka because it is 10:30 in the morning.
So why not do the dry challenge? That
So
way?
this just sort of occurred to me as we're talking. Have you ran into friends that are over drinking and you know this? And I think we've all had those people in our life that, okay, this person's on the verge of alcoholism. They are drinking vodka at 10:30 in the morning on an interview. Is this book really a great way to say, hey, maybe you need to look at things in a, I don't want to say passive aggressive way, but in a way to introduce pulling back from alcohol? I really think that this could be a tool for people.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that the dry challenge is a method for recovery or a substitute for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that. I think that, however, if that individual or anybody is looking to analyze their relationship with alcohol, I think, a dry month can definitely do that. I think, though, depending on what their consumption is and really what their relationship is, it might be better for them to seek other avenues. But I certainly think that, like, anybody who, drinks on a regular basis socially, it's definitely worth trying.
Yeah.
Is there a key, like, what's the one thing that you think makes the most amount of difference? Because in the end, we're trying to, bring something of value, which we already have, obviously, to single dads. Like, what's the one thing? Like, what's the, you know what? This is a secret out of all of this. Is there one thing?
You mean like a tip or like a benefit?
Like the best tip that, that you can, because it was like, really, it was great tip after tip after tip. And a lot of them resonated with me. So I'm like, in your experience, is there that one killer tip that just says, you know what, if you just do this, you're going to be okay in overcoming the dry challenge? And,
yeah, I think one thing that I now keep in mind and that I kind of lead with a lot of friends is the statistic that is in the book that mentions a UK survey that was conducted revealed that the average adult spends nearly 2 years of their life hungover.
Wow.
And it's a lot of time. If you think about, especially as parents, 2 years goes by and what a difference that makes in your child's life. If you're spending 2 years nursing a hangover in bed, feeling sick to your stomach, feeling nauseated, feeling unmotivated, unproductive, having terrible sleep, that's going to affect all parts of your life, including your sleep, your mood, how you interact with everyone. And I think it's an important thing to evaluate. You know, when you think of 2 years that go by and how much you could get done and how much time you could spend with family, it's overwhelming. And I think so often with our busy lives, we talk about the things that we don't have time for, the things that we care about, whether that's, you know, taking care of ourselves, taking care of other people, going on trips, just spending quality time with each other. And to think that those are 2 years just spent in recovering from a night out. That's
Sure.
not even the time that you spend imbibing. So keeping that in mind, I also think is like a big tip, because you have to remember like what your motivation is to begin with. And some people, when they start dry challenges like myself, my motivation was just to kind of beat my friend and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I didn't
dinner.
really have
Exactly.
Right.
That Michelin
and
star dinner.
exactly. But I didn't have like a cutout, you know, idea. I wasn't trying to lose weight, and I wasn't trying to have better sleep, and I wasn't trying to save money necessarily. And all those things happened. But I think had I known that fact even before all of this, I think that my drinking would have been affected just by that alone, because as a busy New Yorker, there's no time for anything. And, you know, so much of our lives we spend saying like, if only we had, you know, an extra day.
Exactly.
And 2 years.
And life is fleeting and short, and it's taken away from us in a second. So why waste any time on being hungover? Really?
Oh my God, 2
That's
years.
crazy.
That's a
so
long time.
I want to say I'm kind of sold on the concept. The good thing is, if you are, and you say this in the book, and I'm so happy you say this. It's not just dry January. You can do a dry October. You can, and you've got names for all
Every
of
month
them.
has a name.
Pick a month.
No
it
drink
can be
November.
a shorter month. It doesn't have to be a 31-day month.
Right.
But you pick a month that works for you, and maybe the fall is your crazy time of year, and you're working, or maybe you're an accountant and you are tax season, you're busy, you don't even have time to drink. Great time to try and take into mind the dry challenge. I think it's a great thing.
I love it. So I'm thinking future for you. With the relaxation of marijuana and drug laws, do you see something like a stay grounded challenge where people aren't getting high?
I'm all for it. I think whatever is going to help people kind of analyze whatever their relationship is with whatever substance or whatever, you know, thing in their life, I am 100% for it. And in the end, you know, maybe you'll learn something new about yourself. And I think that's what it's all about.
No shroom June.
No Shroom June or no 420 April, really, because April's the month.
Oh, really? For all of it?
All right, the book is The Dry Challenge. Hilary, you are amazing. Follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Facebook. We'll have the links. This is truly a tool to help get you on track every year. And I think it's such a gift for people. And thank you for writing this book.
Absolutely great point. It is a great gift. I'm doing it. Everyone else should definitely take a look at this and just start.
If for nothing else, you're going to look better, you're going to save money, and you're probably going to drink less.
She
the skin.
She brings up the skin too quite
It's
a bit.
huge.
It's funny.
It's huge.
Like, the skin. Your skin will look better too.
Awesome. Hilary,
Thank you.
look at that glow. You've got the
I know,
glow,
you do
Hilary.
have the glow.
In the middle of January. You are in the middle of your dry January, so this is perfect. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And really, when you read this book, it's like you're reading writings from a friend, text messages from a friend. You have such a way about you. So do pick up the book, check it out. It's available at all major bookstores and Amazon.com right now. Awesome.
Or get the audio, which
or
I
get
love.
the audio. He loves audiobooks. He's like George Costanza. I need the audiobook.
Yeah, somebody's got to read it to me.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us here at Dad's Dishing.
Thanks, Hilary.
Happy New Year. Thanks for reading, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
If you have a law practice, then I suggest you pay attention to what I'm saying. Do you wonder why your law practice isn't more profitable? Why attorneys who aren't as good as you are getting better clients? If you're ready to grow your law practice without the sleaze, you're in the right place. I'm Joe Sanchez, the founder of Ascent Legal, and I help law firms with the growing of their sales and business side of their law practice. I personally have opened up over 18,000 criminal cases in my 15-year career, and I've built multiple seven-figure law practice from the ground up. You will not find anyone else in the country with my level of experience of closing legal leads right over the phone. If you want to close more legal leads and stop wasting your time, then you can get instant access to our exclusive guide, 10 Mistakes Lawyers Make When Selling on the Phone. This will help you identify why potential clients are saying no to your legal practice with this free guide. You can also check it out at ascent.legal. That's ascent.legal to download your free copy of the 10 mistakes lawyers make when selling on the phone. And while you're at it, schedule a session with the nation's best legal sales trainer, me. Ascent Legal, better practice, better life.
Hilary, that was such a great interview. Joe, you really sourced this. You found this book. And then Kelly, our producer, went out and picked up every copy left. And there weren't many.
Honestly, this happened because of Hilary.
Yes.
And her graciousness of really, she's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And she's on Dad's Dishing. Why shouldn't she?
Exactly. And we want to share this book with one of our listeners. So we'll be giving away a copy of the Dry Challenge. Tune in. We will have on our social media pages exactly what you need to do to enter to win this fantastic book. It's a great read. When you finish reading it, keep a copy for yourself. Maybe pick up another copy to hand out to friends. It's a great gift. It's a great tool.
This book is no joke. I mean, it comes with checklists and ideas and tips and things for you to fill out to be a part of, so that you can actually really, have the best possible tool to be able to go ahead and put the drink down just for 1 month. Just do it for 1 month. You're going to feel a lot better. Your skin will be great.
Yeah, and you'll save money. It's huge. So 2021 Dad's Dishing is all about giving you the tools to be successful in life, and we're starting it off with in a great way. The Dry Challenge. We'll be giving this away to one of you.